You know that feeling when you discover something about yourself that changes everything? Well, that's exactly what happened to me. 6 weeks ago when I stumbled across this polyamory content on TikTok. Anyway, make sure to hit that like button if you enjoy hearing about relationship drama, and don't forget to subscribe if you're new here. I'm Aurora, I'm 29, and up until recently, I thought I had my whole life figured out. Camden and I had been together for 3 years, engaged for 6 months, and everything was moving along perfectly. Wedding venue, booked deposits, paid the whole 9 yards. Camden's 32, works in some tech-adjacent field that puts me to sleep whenever he talks about it, but he's stable and reliable. Or at least, I thought that's what I wanted. The thing is, Camden's always been so rigid. Like he has his little routines and his narrow worldview, and he never wants to explore anything new or exciting. He's the type of guy who thinks he knows everything and gets all defensive when you try to expand his horizons. I've been feeling suffocated for months, but I couldn't put my finger on why until I found this amazing polyamory educator on TikTok. Her name's Polygoddess Life, and she opened my eyes to how toxic monogamy really is. She explained how it's literally a patriarchal construct designed to control women and limit human connection. I started following more accounts, reading books, diving deep into this whole world I never knew existed. The more I learned, the more I realized that I've always been polyamorous. I just didn't have the framework to understand it. I remember the exact moment it clicked. I was watching this video about relationship anarchy and kitchen table polyamory, and I literally felt like someone had turned on a light in my brain. All those times I'd felt attracted to other people. All those moments when Camden felt like he wasn't enough. It wasn't because something was wrong with me. It was because monogamy is an unnatural restriction on human love. Camden was completely oblivious, of course. He'd come home from work, plop down on the couch with his laptop, probably looking at apartments or something equally mundane while I was having this massive spiritual awakening. I tried dropping hints about evolving our relationship, about how love doesn't have to be limited, but he'd just nod along without really listening. Typical Camden. So focused on his little plans and timelines that he can't see the bigger picture. I spent weeks building up the courage to have this conversation. I knew he'd resist at first. People always do when you challenge their programming. But I also knew that if he truly loved me, he'd want to grow with me. Love is about supporting your partner's authentic self, right? And my authentic self is polyamorous. The night I decided to tell him, I could barely contain my excitement. I'd been researching for 6 weeks, I had all my talking points ready, and I genuinely believed this could make our relationship stronger. Multiple committed relationships that coexist, more love for everyone. What's not to love about that? I walked into the living room where Camden was doing his usual evening routine, laptop open, probably scrolling through rental listings or work emails. God, he's so stubborn about change. But I was about to shake up his whole world, and it was about time. Our relationship had gotten so stagnant, so conventional. This was exactly the spark we needed. We need to have a serious conversation about our relationship structure, I announced, sitting across from him instead of next to him on the couch. I wanted to maintain some authority in this conversation, show him I was serious about this. The look on his face was priceless, like he had no idea what was coming. Part of me felt bad for blindsiding him, but sometimes you have to rip the Band-Aid off, you know? Sometimes love means pushing your partner out of their comfort zone. Okay, what's going on? He asked, closing his laptop. I took a deep breath. This was it. I've been doing a lot of self-discovery work lately, reading, learning, watching educational content, and I need to tell you something important about who I am. I could practically see his stomach drop. Those words never end well, do they? But I pressed on. I'm polyamorous. Dead silence. I could hear our upstairs neighbor walking around. Camden just stared at me. You want to open the relationship? He asked finally. It's not just opening it. I want us to practice ethical polyamory, multiple committed relationships that coexist. It's actually a really healthy and evolved way to love when you understand it properly. He put his laptop aside and I could see him processing. This is coming out of nowhere for me. Where's this from? Upbreeds. I immediately got defensive. Here we go with his close-minded attitude. It's not coming from anywhere. This is who I've always been. I just didn't have the framework to understand it before. Rachel, Arturo, he started and I corrected him. Aurora. But he continued, we've been together 3 years talking marriage. You've never once mentioned anything like this. Because society programs us to suppress these parts of ourselves, monogamy is literally a patriarchal construct created to control women and limit human connection. I've been learning so much about kitchen table polyamory and relationship anarchy. Hold on, he interrupted, and I could see that stubborn look creeping into his face. This is a massive change, like fundamentally changing what our entire relationship is. It's not changing anything, it's expanding it. We'd still be together, still love each other. There'd just be more love. No one person can meet all your needs anyway. Then he got this weird, calm look like he was shutting down emotionally, so typical of him when things get challenging. You're right that one person can't meet every need. That's what friends are for family community. But romantically, sexually, I'm monogamous. That's not something I'm willing to change. My whole expression shifted. I couldn't believe how closed-minded he was being. You won't even consider it. That's pretty narrow-minded. It's not narrow-minded to know what I want in a relationship. I'm not monogamous by default. It's what I actively choose. But how do you know if you've never tried polyamory, you might love it? How do you know you're poly if you've never actually practiced it? We've been monogamous for 3 years. I stood up and started pacing. This was exactly the resistance I was worried about. You're trying to control how I love people. Saying I need monogamy isn't controlling you, it's stating what I need to be in this relationship. You can love however you want, but I get to decide what kind of relationship I'm in. So you're just shutting this down. Won't even think about it. Think about what you're asking me to fundamentally change my relationship values. That's not a small request. I grabbed my phone and pulled up some of the content I'd been following. Look, I follow these polyamory educators on TikTok and Instagram. They talk about how if your partner refuses to even consider ethical non-monogamy, that's a red flag. It means they don't actually care about your happiness or growth. Camden stood up too, and I could see him getting frustrated. Or it means we're incompatible in a really fundamental way. We're not incompatible with you. We're perfect together. You just need to evolve past outdated relationship structures. I don't think monogamy is outdated. It works for millions of people. It works for me. I went quiet, then realizing he wasn't going to budge. This weak, inflexible man I'd wasted 3 years on. I can't be monogamous anymore. I need this to be happy. Okay, that's all you have to say. What do you want me to say? You're telling me you need something I can't give you. That sucks for both of us, but it is what it is. So you're choosing monogamy over me? Over 3 years together. That one hurt to say, but it was true. He was being so selfish. You're choosing polyamory over me. It's the same thing, Aurora. No, it's not the same. I'm asking you to grow with me. You're just being rigid and refusing to change. Asking someone to change their core relationship needs isn't growth. It's incompatibility. My voice got louder. If you actually loved me, you'd at least try. If you actually loved me, you wouldn't ask me to. We just stared at each other. I could feel the relationship ending in real time, and we both knew it. Finally, I said what needed to be said. Then I guess we're done. I'm not going to suppress who I am for anyone. I'm not asking you to suppress anything. I'm just saying I can't be in that kind of relationship. Fine, then it's over. I went to the bedroom and threw some things in an overnight bag. When I came back out, I felt lighter, like I'd already processed it. Camden was just sitting there looking pathetic. I'll stay at Christina's tonight. We can figure out the apartment and stuff later. Sure. Obviously the wedding's canceled. I'll call my parents tomorrow. Okay. I grabbed my keys and stopped at the door. You know, this really shows who you are. I thought you were different, more evolved. He didn't say anything which was so typical. I left him sitting there in his stubbornness. The next day, after thinking about it more, I realized maybe I'd been too harsh. I texted him, "Hey, can we talk? I think we both got too emotional last night." When he finally responded, he seemed open to talking, so I explained that I didn't think we needed to break up. We just needed better communication. But then he got all logical and cold again. About what you want polyamory, I want monogamy. That's not a communication issue. I tried to suggest a compromise. Maybe we could start slow. I'd know about my other partners, but he wouldn't have to meet them right away. But he just twisted it around, making it sound like I was being unreasonable. That's not a compromise. That's just you being poly while I'm monogamous and supposed to be okay with it. You're being really unreasonable right now. How is knowing what I want unreasonable? I mentioned that my therapist had said he was showing controlling behaviors by refusing to explore my needs, but he just dismissed that too. So I called him, but he kept avoiding me, which was so immature. When I finally got him on the phone, he was being completely stubborn. We want fundamentally different relationships. That's not something we can compromise on. Yes, we can, if you just opened your mind even a little. My mind is open to monogamy with someone who actually wants that too. Oh my God, you're so brainwashed by Disney movies and romance novels. And you're brainwashed by TikTok content creators. That wasn't fair. It wasn't just social media. I've been reading books following actual researchers. For how long, Aurora? Silence. I knew where this was going. How long have you been researching polyamory? About a month and a half. He actually laughed. The audacity. 6 weeks. We've been together 3 years planning a marriage, but 6 weeks of poly content. And suddenly, you can't be monogamous anymore. Stop mocking me. I'm not mocking you. I'm pointing out that this seems really sudden, like maybe you're caught up in the excitement of something new, not discovering your core identity. You don't get to tell me who I am. You're absolutely right, but I get to decide if that's compatible with me, and it's not. I hung up. I was done with his close-mindedness. I texted him that I wanted my stuff from the apartment that weekend. Saturday came, and I brought Christina and my mom for support. I'd already decided I was done with Camden's games. When we walked in, he'd already boxed everything up, which was actually thoughtful of him. I'll give him that. But then my mom started going off on him about how selfish he was being, and Christina joined in about how polyamorous couples have lower divorce rates. Camden just stood there looking defeated, which honestly made me feel a little bad for him. You realize you're throwing away a beautiful relationship because you're too insecure to share, my mom said. I'm not insecure, I'm monogamous. Those aren't the same thing. They're exactly the same thing. You're threatened by the idea of her with another man. Yeah, that's literally what monogamy is. Being exclusive, that's the entire point. I finally spoke up. Can we not do this here? But Christina kept going. You're really gonna throw away a whole wedding over this? She ended it. I just didn't beg her to stay. Because you don't actually love her, my mom said. Camden looked at me. Is that what you think? I hesitated. I think if you loved me enough, you'd at least try. And I think if you loved me enough, you wouldn't ask me to. My mom scoffed. Selfish, absolutely selfish. As we were loading my stuff, I turned back one more time. You're really okay with this, just throwing away 3 years. No, I'm not okay with it at all, but I'm also not going to pretend to be someone I'm not, just to keep the peace. So polyamory would make you that miserable? Yes, would monogamy make you that miserable? I hesitated again. The truth is, I wasn't sure anymore. I don't think I can do it anymore, not after learning what I've learned. Then yeah, we're done. Within a week, I'd connected with Damon through a polyamory meetup group. He was everything Camden wasn't. Open-minded, sexually liberated, emotionally intelligent. We had this incredible connection right away, and I felt vindicated in my choice. This was what I'd been missing. I texted Camden to let him know I was seeing someone. Just so you know, I already have 2 people who want to date me. Thought you should know. His response was so cold. Good luck with everything. That's it. That's all you have to say. What do you want me to say? I want you to fight for us. By becoming someone I'm not. That's not fighting for us. That's erasing me. But here's the thing. Damon turned out to be all talk. He claimed to understand polyamory, but couldn't actually handle it when I started seeing other people too. He got jealous and possessive just like any other guy. After 2 months, he basically ghosted me with some lame excuse about needing to work on himself. That's when I realized maybe I'd been too hasty. Maybe Camden and I could have figured something out. I reached out to him for coffee, swallowing my pride. I've been doing a lot of thinking about us, about what happened. I told him when we met. Okay. And I think maybe I was too hasty about the whole poly thing. I still think I'm poly, but maybe we could have figured something out, some kind of compromise. But Camden was being so stubborn. We already talked about this. There's no compromise between poly and mono. But what if we did like a don't ask, don't tell, the thing I do my thing, you do yours, we stay together? That's still polyamory Aurora, and I'd still be miserable. I started tearing up. I miss you. I miss what we had. I miss it too. But that version of you wanted monogamy. This version doesn't. I could try. We could go to couples therapy. You literally gave me an ultimatum. Accept polyamory or we're done. I chose done. You don't get to take that back now that Damon bailed. That stung. This isn't about Damon. Isn't it you were totally fine with the breakup when you had him? He's gone and suddenly you want to compromise. I wiped my eyes. That's not fair. See, neither was blowing up our engagement over something you learned about on TikTok last month. It wasn't just TikTok. You're right, 6 weeks of research. My bad. Why do you keep throwing that in my face? Because you ended 3 years and a wedding over content you consumed for a month and a half. People were starting to stare. I lowered my voice. I made a mistake. Okay, I'm admitting it. What mistake, wanting to be poly or giving me an ultimatum? Both. But Camden wasn't having it. Aurora, you can't take this back. You told me I wasn't enough for you, that you needed multiple partners, that monogamy was a patriarchal construct. Those words don't just disappear. People change. People realize they made mistakes. In 6 weeks, you've changed your entire identity back. I couldn't answer that. The truth is, I was confused about everything. Look, he said softer now. I think you got caught up in something. Some algorithm fed you content that made everything seem wrong with what we had. Maybe there's truth in there for you. Maybe you really are poly, but you don't get to use me as a backup plan while you figure it out. That's not what this is. Then what is it? It's me realizing I screwed up and wanting to fix it. Fix it how? By going back to monogamy. Would that actually make you happy? I couldn't answer right away, and he saw that. I don't know. Maybe if we really worked on it. That's not a foundation for a marriage. That's settling. Why are you being so stubborn? Because I don't want to be someone's compromise. I want to be with someone who genuinely wants the same kind of relationship I do, not someone trying it on like shoes to see if it fits. I started really crying then. I don't know what I want anymore. I know, and that's okay, but you can't expect me to wait around while you figure it out. So we're really done just like that? Yeah, we really are. I left feeling more confused than ever. That night, my mom texted Camden telling him he made me cry and asking if he was happy with himself. He didn't respond, which was probably smart. About a week later, I sent him this long email about how I'd been processing everything and doing the work, and I'd realized that monogamy could work if we really committed to communication and growth together. His response crushed me. Aurora, I appreciate you reaching out, but I've thought about this a lot too. The way this ended with you saying you couldn't be monogamous anymore, that you needed polyamory. I can't come back from that. Even if you've changed your mind now, I'll always wonder if you're settling or if 6 months from now you'll want to open things again. I can't build a marriage on that foundation. I really do wish you well, but I need to move forward. I wrote back, you're giving up on us. You gave up on us when you issued that ultimatum. I'm just accepting what you decided. It's been 8 months now. I'm still dating around, still exploring polyamory, but nothing feels right. I keep thinking about Camden, about what we had. I heard through mutual friends that he's seeing someone new, some girl he met through work. They seem really happy together, which honestly makes me sick. The worst part is the wedding deposits. I ended up having to pay half of everything we lost, which was over $2,000. Money I really couldn't afford to lose. But Camden was being such a hard ass about it, sending me all these Venmo requests like I was some deadbeat. I tried dating a few other people after Damon, but it's been a disaster. Turns out most guys who say they're into polyamory are just looking for an excuse to sleep around, and the ones who are serious about it are usually weird and intense in ways that make my skin crawl. Sometimes I wonder if I made a huge mistake. But then I remember how suffocating Camden could be, how he never wanted to grow or change. Maybe we just weren't meant to be. Maybe I really am polyamorous and I just haven't found the right people yet. The truth is, I'm tired of defending my choices to everyone. My mom keeps asking when I'm going to settle down again, and Christina acts like the whole thing was my fault for moving too fast. But nobody understands what it's like to discover something fundamental about yourself and have the person who's supposed to love you most just shut it down without even trying. Camden texted me last week, just, "Hope you're doing well." I didn't respond. What's the point? He made his choice, and I made mine. Some people are just too set in their ways to evolve, and I guess Camden's one of them. I'm moving forward with my life, exploring who I really am. If that means being alone for a while, so be it. At least I'm being authentic to myself, which is more than I can say for most people in their boring, traditional relationships.